felt like you actually meant to.
I meant it.
No, you don't. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Hello, and welcome to the something. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, and welcome to the Performance Group Podcast. My name is Sean Kirby, and on today's episode, I am joined by the one, the only, the number one largest Madison County real estate broker, Mr. Steve Thompson from the FC Tucker Group. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for remembering to come.
Yeah.
It's important. Monday after a holiday.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would have remembered that they had a Monday meeting.
Yeah.
Me included.
We're all moving a little bit slower on Monday.
That's okay. Did you have a good holiday?
I had a great holiday. How about you?
Thanks for asking. It was good. Too long. I missed the office. I missed the hustle and bustle of, the insurance business.
So you didn't come in on Friday then?
No. I did check my email and then I closed it. I was mildly frustrated somebody even had the audacity to send me a request on a Friday after a holiday.
I feel like people, the same people that would ask you for something on the Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, are the people that are not going to be asking you for something on the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are either one or the other, and if they're neither or both, then they're working too hard.
Yeah. Which guy are you?
I take the day off after Thanksgiving. So I work on Wednesday, don't work on Friday.
Oh, there you go. I didn't work Wednesday or Friday. No, I did work Wednesday. I lied. I didn't work Tuesday. I chased kids all day.
Yeah, so we do a big client event on, I think I told you about on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving every year.
Mm-hmm.
So we buy a bunch of pies, like a lot of people in my industry do that, but then we don't usually get a lot of them to show up to the actual event where we give them the pie. So we end up having to deliver pies. So that's what I did all day on Wednesday. Just drive around and deliver pies, which doesn't really feel like work anyway. So it's mostly just fun.
That's fun. It's nice to get out of the office anyways.
It is, yeah. I'm an office body. I like to be there, but it's nice to, when you're doing something like that, getting to interact with people that you like and care about.
Heck yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why we do it anyways.
Yeah, that's why I do podcasts.
Yeah, that's why. That's why. It's because I forced you. I came to your office. I said, I need him right now.
Well, but you offered something. It's if you know well enough, you're a business guy. If you want something, you have to offer something. So you came and offered something, which the viewers don't need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
But you offered something in return. So here I am.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming. I actually came because I took over your Madison County Chamber newspaper that said that you are the top 20 under 40.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, it's great to know you're under 40.
Yeah, it's also the real honor is that my recognition was right next to yours.
Ooh, I was trying to pull that out because I haven't announced that yet on the show, so I wanted people to know.
Well, surely you'll announce it before this episode airs, right?
I'll post it on my LinkedIn. I'm just trying to get people to follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean that's where everybody goes in our world.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business person, you have to be on LinkedIn.
B2B. So let's kind of back in. So Steve, for people who don't know Steve and they want to know Steve and they want to know where you're from, how you got to where you are today to become the largest real estate broker in all of Madison County, how'd that start? Yeah, it's a new title.
Yeah, so I am 8 years into my real estate career. Prior to that, I was a cop. Prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps. And
thank you for your service.
Thank you. And it was never something I ever thought I was going to do, which most people in real estate say that. Most people in real estate don't come, into it, from high school saying this is what I want to do when I grow up. But I mean, we have a couple of people now that work with us that did that. They decided in high school that they wanted to be real estate professionals, which is pretty cool. But for me, I was just getting tired of the law enforcement side of things. Wasn't able to provide the level of service that I should be for that profession. So looked for another avenue of what to do with my life, how to support my family, and had a family friend in real estate, so I kind of leaned on them a little bit and got into it. And about a year into it, brought my wife into it. So I was a cop, she was a teacher, and real estate we decided it was going to work for us. So we went all in. She quit her job, and we built a team together. And in real estate, you can be an independent agent, which sometimes is the most lucrative way to do things and the least amount of stress, even though there's a lot of stress in real estate to begin with. Or a lot of people will start a team. You see, obviously here in Pendleton we have a really large team, and there's several other really large real estate teams here in Madison County around central Indiana. But then the third way to go is full-on broker, which isn't necessarily the most lucrative, but provides obviously different opportunities. And that was kind of the direction I always thought I would end up going anyway. So we got the opportunity to do that a couple years ago, and hopped on to a Tucker franchise, and then we're able to buy out the rights to the Madison County franchise, and took that over January 1 of this year. So had a really big growth here. We put all of our attention and focus onto getting our processes and procedures in place, and bringing in good people. So we started January 1 with 22 agents that were affiliated with the Madison County Tucker franchise, and we'll probably finish with about 37, 38 for the
Wow.
year. So yeah.
Lots of new faces and lots of new blood. How are you attracting and keeping good people right now? That seems to be the number one thing.
Yeah, man. So we take. I always tell everybody. I say this all the time. So the people that are interested in hearing from me or about, like you said, they probably have already heard it, so they don't want to hear it again because they've heard it so many times. But I believe there's two big ways to do real estate, and neither one's wrong. Both approaches have their merits. You can be transactional based, or you can be relationship based. The relationship based side obviously feels good or sounds a little bit nicer, but it also hurts a little bit more, when those relationships don't work out, as being in a similar industry. So, the transaction side is, you're creating the relationship with that client for that time, and then not bugging them, and letting them go back to their life and not having to worry about a relationship with a real estate professional. But we try to take it a step farther and be there for all the other stuff you need. If you've been in your house for 5 years after you bought it from me, and then you call because you guys want to build on, obviously that's not something that a realtor traditionally gets involved in. But we want to be, we want to create clients for life. So we create those opportunities to be there for you, put you in touch with the right people, help you make the right decisions. So your property is, providing the most opportunity for equity for you.
Yeah.
So we went that way. I really built upon that mentality, that relationship building mentality with my community as well. So I got really involved in the community, made a lot of connections and relationships, and it's just grown. So this year has really been our launching point.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, especially if you go downtown Anderson, you see a lot of Steve's face.
Apologize.
Apologize in advance. But no, you can tell that you're putting back into the community what you've always kind of wanted to do.
Yeah.
Are you from Madison County originally?
Technically, I was born and started my first years in Madison County. My dad was a teacher and my mom was a nurse. She worked at St. John's, now St. Vincent, for years and years, or somewhere in that network. And they brought me home to their house on West 2nd Street, just outside of downtown here in Anderson, and we stayed there until I was school age. And then once I was school age, my dad was a teacher at Shenandoah, so we moved out there. So, I could live in the district that I was going to, and that's where I grew up. So, but Anderson's always been, the home for me. Anderson's where we went for everything. My first job was in Anderson, everything that we did. My church was in Anderson, so it's always kind of been, that place that I resonated with, but don't currently live in Anderson. But once the kids are done with school, Trish already knows, my wife knows, we're going back to Anderson. So.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
You going downtown? You going to the north side?
I'd love to, yeah. I mean, obviously I have a really, huge, almost too much passion for downtown Anderson. So, if I do things the way that, if I'm as good as I think I am, then hopefully downtown Anderson will be a lot cooler place than it is even already. So
it is a cool place. Downtown Anderson is a happening spot. So you personally, you recently purchased some property downtown, and I walked through your office.
I did personally purchase it, so it worked.
Yeah, but you put a lot of time, money, and energy back into downtown. So
yeah.
I mean, what brought you back when you came back from obviously time in service and then back into law enforcement? Were you a local police officer at Anderson Police, or?
No, I started with Middletown, where I live.
Okay.
Just across the county line, Henry County. I was a police officer in Middletown, and then opportunities weren't available to me there, so I took my talents, the few that I had, up to Marion, up in Grant County, and I was a cop up there for 3.5 years. So,
how have some of those those lessons, that time, that stuff you've done not only in the military but in law enforcement kind of translated to being not only in real estate but as a business owner?
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing that I learned from my military time was in the Marine Corps. So we get nothing. You know, we're like the stepchildren of the military. So initiative and making things work with less is of the utmost importance in the Marine Corps. So I think that's the biggest life skill I took from that. That benefits me in my business now. And then the other side with law enforcement was, you know, that feel of community service that I took with me, that, you know, I wanted to bring that in and have just incessantly look for opportunities to be a community servant because of my time as a law enforcement officer. But then the other thing that I think comes from that is just learning how to sell yourself. I tell my people all the time that the best educator for learning how to sell yourself to someone that you're asking to hire you for your services you provide is to be required to sell someone into why they should let you put handcuffs on them if they know they have to go to jail. So if you can learn how to peacefully and effectively talk someone into going to jail when they don't want to, then what better educator is there to teach somebody how to sell yourself?
Very dire situations most of the time too.
Yeah.
Real estate's a little bit less dangerous.
You know, it is, but I tell this story sometimes too. It's my favorite way to explain real estate to people that are prospective realtors talking about getting in the business. When I was a cop, you know, obviously I was in a lot of high stress situations. When I was in Iraq, a lot of high stress situations, but about 3 years into my real estate career, I had hurt my back somehow. I didn't know how I did it. And I was like, it's working out a little bit more than I am now, but I didn't have an explanation for how I had injured myself. I went to my doctor and we were trying to figure it out. And he's like, well, you know, have you done this? Have you done this? No. And then, you know, he kind of felt where the pain was and what I was dealing with. And he said, you know, what's your work situation like? Are you under a lot of stress? And I was thinking about that, you know, that time of my life, there was, you know, we had like 16 transactions pending and 3 of them were falling apart and 3 more were gonna be homeless. And I was like, yeah, work's a little stressful. And he was like, dude, you have stress back pain. It's from stress. And I said, you know, no, like, I've never had that. That's not something that I do. And he's like, well, I'm telling you, you're carrying your stress in your back and you're causing yourself pain. And I said, so cop time, military time, never experienced stress pain in my back, but I get into real estate and I do. So, you know, there's no better indicator that, you know, everybody handles stress differently, and what you do with it is going to, you know, be dictated by, you know, your lifestyles and how you conduct your, you know, your business. But at a certain point, there's just no way around it. You know, if you really care about your clients and the relationships you're forming, then you're going to take burdens on, you know, for them, you know, to take it off their plate and put the worry on you, because you're the professional. That's why you're in the business. And you know, you have to be aware of how that's happening, so you can, you know, protect your health too, because it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's taking care of yourself is a pretty important thing too.
Huge, yeah. And I think young, you know, we were talking about before, like young guys, you know, we don't recognize what's happening to us as we're aging, as, you know, if we can call ourselves middle-aged now, but, you know, you don't think about that when you're younger, you know, especially when you're a young adult or a kid. You don't think about your health because you're invincible, you know. So for people that are, you know, business professionals that are working 60 hours a week, you've got to take time. And I've heard it from all my mentors, but, you know, you don't ever hear it. You don't listen to it until, you know, you have your first experience with, you know, a health issue where you finally figure out what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of mentorship, I assume you've had lots of different types of mentors in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of speak to, especially being a team leader of now 37 people, what mentorship means to you and how you try to utilize it, maybe even your own right.
Sure, yeah. So I am very, very fortunate that when I came into this company and inherited the relationships with the agents that we have, we were blessed to have so many people there that have been doing this for a long time. I've finally figured out, they've done it delicately, but they finally let me know that they don't appreciate it when I make the point that a lot of these people have been doing it longer than I've been alive. They don't like that. But it's true, and with that experience comes wisdom, and there's so much to be said for that old adage, they're the old bull and the young bull, and which one actually gets the job done. And there's a lot of learning that I've had to do with slowing down and just focusing on the top priorities, what's most important, and it's due greatly in part to the people that I get to brag about having around me. So we've got great agents. I bought the company from Ken Miller and Tom Seal, which are two long known names. Ken Miller is very much still active in real estate. He still acts as a sales manager for us, and kind of my mentor and the guy that calms me down and just delicately tells me when I need to slow down when I'm trying to make a decision about something. And he's a great just a great sounding board for the agents that have had those relationships with him for so long. And everybody knows Tom Seal, and even though he's technically officially retired now, he still bugs me every once in a while to see how things are going and asks for the advice that I need at whatever time we're talking. And there's always something that I look to for guidance for him. So between them and the relationships I've built with other people and other industries, and being as involved with our association and my board as long as I have, it's provided me with a lot of mentorship. So it's huge. You can't get it done on your own.
They say it's who you know, not what you know, right?
Absolutely, very true.
So you are definitely a powerful networker. In the it's a very important thing, especially if you want to be.
That's a good compliment, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's real.
It is. I mean, it's especially in business, B2B stuff, because I know you're mainly focused on commercial.
Yeah.
Right. So it is the power of doing the right thing for the right people, putting yourself in positions, that sort of stuff.
Right.
What led you to the commercial brokerage world versus personal homes and that sort of stuff, residential?
Yeah, it's just more relevant to where I'm at in my career. So I saw a need for another commercial broker in Madison County, and as I was getting involved in investments and stuff in commercial, my wife and I had several residential properties that we were investing in, and just decided that we were going to take advantage of the market opportunity and get away from that, because I think where it's really at right now is commercial. We're back up to where we haven't plateaued, but we're back up to where we should be, caught back up with the Madison County market now. So I feel like commercial is where the real opportunity is. That's what we're seeing, and with investors from out of state, across the country, out of the country that are coming in to Madison County, they all feel the same way. So I really try to make that my focus. Plus, it was more relevant for my company, with the model that we're building. We've got plenty of residential agents, and I don't want to compete with them. So I was very intentional about taking the limelight off myself and letting my agents go out there and do what we know they do best, and support and serve our residential clients, and then try to build my competency and proficiency with commercial so I can be there to support them when those needs arise as well.
Yeah. So you don't see a lot of people going into the commercial real estate brokerage world nearly as much.
I don't recommend it. So
why is that?
It's
harder, I assume.
It's tougher. Yeah. It's if you're in real estate, oftentimes you don't. If you've been doing it for a while, you probably have the ability to go months, 6 months, a year without getting paid. But especially for new people, they really don't. And that's you have to be able to put up and deal with that kind of stuff before you get to the time where you're excelling. And that was what I've experienced this year, and why I don't recommend to people that are just starting out in real estate to go that route unless you've got a nest egg. It's an investment in yourself just like anything else. I had the ability to invest in myself and say I'm going to take a year off and not take a paycheck, to intentionally build something the right way so I can be there for our clients that we need to represent on the commercial side. So we've done it the right way, and it's fine, and it's working out great. We see the goal on the horizon. We know what's coming, but it's just another layer of hardship and stress that new people in the industry don't really need to deal with. So it's much more common for people to cross over, or to kind of do it in a market that offers a lot more opportunity. You're only going to be able to have a few true commercial practitioners in a county the size of Madison. So, but it's coming, and it's there, and we're hiring. So, if there is somebody that's in the industry and is looking for an opportunity in commercial, or just wants to, invest in themselves and go full-time commercial, then, I'd love to help show somebody the ropes. So.
Yeah, you got to have somebody that's willing to be mentored and learn the ropes from somebody who's obviously, a great mentor himself.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, one day at a time. So for some of us who are maybe not in the real estate world, how did COVID impact commercial real estate? I would assume offices with the home working phase is not nearly as desirable as it used to be.
Yeah.
You see a lot of big empty buildings. Madison County was full of them for a really long time. You get on LoopNet, there's less and less, which is good.
Yep.
I think you're seeing more owner-occupied buildings and less large leases, because it's expensive, especially if you can get out of that lease and send your people home. So how did COVID kind of impact that, and what businesses you see thriving, or what do you see selling? And
yeah, you hit the nail on the head with office space. That got hit pretty hard. And we see that in downtown Anderson. We've seen that. We've talked about that before. There's over 250,000 square feet of vacant office space in downtown Anderson alone, and that's huge. So not something we should be looking for more of. We should be looking at ways to repurpose the space we already have. So those conversations are starting to happen. We've been having them for a while, and we're hoping to achieve some goals there sometime within the near future. But as far as Madison County in general goes, it's kind of been the same thing. A lot of your office space has been repurposed for kind of your unique retail opportunities and stuff like that, and a lot of it's being repurposed to residential, as it should be. A lot of Madison County, with Madison County being an older community for Indiana, you see a lot of properties that were built as residential and then converted to commercial office space, and vice versa. You see a lot of commercial space that's being repurposed to residential, because in the old days it was all community-based, community-driven. So neighborhoods had their grocer and their attorney and their doctor and their dentist and what have you, and it's kind of flipping back to the other side, whereas neighborhoods still are requiring a certain level of service-oriented industries to be local, just because people like to work with people that they already know. So you're seeing a lot of neighborhoods being built up with that walkability feel, but they're just in closer to larger metro areas. So what we're hoping to achieve in Anderson, Pendleton, what we're hoping to see happen is what's already starting to occur here, which is those buildings being repurposed for residential where they can be, because that's where the need is. We have a huge need for new housing, but where we don't have the opportunity or the ability to build that in some communities here in Madison County, we're looking for opportunities to repurpose what we have. So you're going to continue to see more of that, and that's a good thing. The rental rates and for investors are great. They're creeping back up to where they need to be, and when people are considering buying and they can't find anything that meets their needs because inventory is so low and they don't really have it in their budget to do new construction, repurposing a building could be a great opportunity, and we're seeing that happen a lot, especially in Anderson.
The hardest thing about the repurposing is getting kind of the cities on board, and getting zoning on board, and getting people pulling on the same end of the string. And I'm sure you've noticed this in your time doing this, is there's a lot of legwork involved in trying to do that before you even get to a purchase, because you can't make such a large investment not knowing if they're even going to let you rezone.
Yeah.
So I imagine you deal a lot with county government?
Yeah.
In some aspect, yeah, you've got good relationships there, trying to figure out.
Clayton, who kind of introduced us the first time, CEO of the Madison County Chamber. He was, my first interaction with him. The way that we connected was with my involvement with local government when he was a county councilman. And there's a lot of good talent in Madison County when it comes to different government entities. And I would say honestly that as far as, especially with our big four, with Elwood, Ellick, Pendleton, and Anderson, and county government, there's really good working relationships with the constituents and zoning. And it's not that hard if you've got a vision and you've got a plan, and you're willing to put the work in. Then it's the opportunities are there to get things rezoned or whatever else you need to do to get something accomplished. Especially if you're going to put something back on the tax rolls and you're going to improve the community. It's a no-brainer for our government entities right now, and they're willing to play ball.
Good, and that's huge. So say somebody wants to invest, but they never knew how, or they wanted to get into commercial real estate, but they never knew how, or they never felt like they had somebody that could help them have those conversations more than anything. How would people reach out to you with a plan?
Yeah, call me.
Easy enough.
Yeah. It's really no different than it is with residential. When it comes to investments like that, you identify a real estate professional that you want to have a working relationship with, and you schedule an appointment. You sit down for a consultation and you talk about what your goals are, just like you would with your financial advisor or your attorney or your insurance provider. You sit down, you talk about your goals, and then you come up with a plan for how to achieve those. When it comes to commercial specifically, you have a lot of other factors to consider. That I guess you have a lot of factors to consider when you're buying your own personal residence as well. But when it comes to residential, you sit down with your realtor and you talk about your goals, and if you own a home, have to sell, whatever that is, you start there. And with commercial, it's an investment a lot of times, so you're looking at it from a different lens, and your commercial broker will sit down with you and help put you in touch with the right people once they find out what your needs are, what your pain points may be, to try to resolve those before you even get going. Because there's nothing worse than trying to take on an investment property in the commercial world and get halfway through it and have a lot of money invested in it just to find out that it's not going to be an option for you. It's a lot more expensive and it's a lot more timely. So sitting down well in advance and getting your ducks in a row are much more important.
Yeah, absolutely. So with those ducks in a row, I assume you have a pretty tight little squad of people that you work closely with in the community.
Oh yeah.
How did you find and nurture those relationships? I think, especially as somebody who's young and trying to get not in, but like Madison County as a whole has always been very gray-haired people. Can I say that?
I mean, you did.
Okay, so it is the movers and shakers have always been here, and it's tough to get in. So what are some of the things that you feel like you had to do, or something you did that as you were on the come up, that you tell your agents, hey, this is what I did, here's some of the things that worked for me? What's some of the networking you did, things that you felt like provided you the most options to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, great question. The very first thing that I did was take myself seriously. I told myself that this was going to be my career, and this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. So I took myself seriously enough to get up early every morning and start my day early and get involved with those associations that I needed to in order to create the relationship. So for me, whatever industry you're in, the first place you should start is the association where you pay your dues. Most do. I don't know anything about the your world, but I'm sure there's an association or multiple that you guys belong to.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it was MyBoard, and I got really involved with MyBoard from the beginning, and that was kind of my foundation. And then it was just looking for opportunities to network. So I took early opportunities with the Leadership Academy in Madison County, which you know a lot about right
Mm-hmm.
now. We did that. We got involved with our local Madison County division for MyBoard. I got involved with some other boards, some other volunteer positions like Madison County CED, and then look for opportunities to volunteer. Got involved locally in Middletown, and then my wife kind of took that over and got involved in Middletown, and we, I'm on the Christian Center board and several others that mean a lot to me, personally. But when you get involved and people see that you care and that you're going to show up and you're going to be there and you have ideas, those connections kind of happen, naturally. So that's where it started for me. And when you start to build relationships, with people that you can form a connection with, that's where it starts. And those have just kind of built, just like any other friendship would. But you have to be willing to put the time and the investment into it. So, getting involved in, whatever organization speaks to you as a profession, as a young professional, is not just something you have to identify and then be willing to, jump into. You also have to be committed enough to stick with it, because it doesn't happen overnight. Just like when you are in an investment, you're not going to see any return on that really in your first couple of years. You gotta sit on it. You gotta let it build, and you gotta be, true to it, faithful to it, and not, stop making your investment payments, into your account because, it compounds.
Yeah, compounding interest. That's not just in money, that's in real life.
It's in networking too.
Talk about the sacrifice that networking, and I'm going to say sacrifice because you have young kids.
Yep.
You have a marriage.
Yep.
You are a business owner. Time is limited.
Yeah.
So talk about, the waking up early, the discipline, and all the things that you've kind of compounded to be on so many boards and do all the things you do. I mean, truly, as somebody who tries, I'm exhausted. I'm on 3 boards and I'm exhausted.
Yeah. The hardest thing for me that I finally figured out a year or two ago, several of my people will listen to this and say I'm not 100% factual on it, but they're not here, so I'm gonna say it is the hardest thing for me to let go of something that isn't working or that isn't a good fit, and that's when it comes to groups or associations or volunteer opportunities or facets of my business model or my business plan. Letting go is the best thing you can do for yourself if you truly believe in your time. I just had somebody, very good friend, post something on Facebook this morning that I might mess it up, but it said, if you allow something to continue, you're accepting it, essentially. So, if you don't like something, that you're doing, or you don't like the direction that something's going, but you continue to allow it to happen, then you're telling yourself that you are okay with that and that you like it. If you don't like it, then you should be fixing it. So, that's been the hardest thing for me to learn, but, it's an investment, it's a risk, just like anything else. I hope that I'm building something that is going to provide a lot for my wife and I and in the future, and for my kids, my 2 girls. And we try to find other ways to incorporate that. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better about that since we've been able to establish our own identity with our real estate company. But my girls are around all the time. I bring them to meetings where it's appropriate. They're involved in every community event we do. I try to find opportunities to teach them in that, because obviously their life is a lot different, than others, in other families where, their parents are fortunate or not, depending on how you look at it, to have, a different, a different 9 to 5 or something like that. But, those parents are invested in something else too. And, the difference with us is, if you're a young business person and an entrepreneur, you're trying to build something for yourself, you have to be willing to commit to that not just being your job, but your job should be that. And then what you build on that is, your hobbies, your other interests, your servant time, your volunteer time. We just have built something where we decided early to make our mentality to encompass all that into one. So, we try to identify, the connection with any volunteer thing we do, to our business, to our day job. That's not just for the tax incentives.
Yeah.
But, sorry, IRS. But it's because, you want to establish a brand for yourself and an identity that people can connect to and recognize that is you across the full spectrum. So I hope to be recognized as Steve Thompson, the real estate guy. He's the guy that has the Tucker franchise for Madison County or whatever else. But it's more than just that. It's being able to be that resource for somebody when they need it in that area. So if somebody wants a real estate expert, which I don't call myself that yet, but if somebody's looking for that or that type of professional to be on a board, then if I'm doing my job well, hopefully I'm the first person that they think of. Now, it may not be the best fit for me, and I'll try to help them identify that. And that's the nice part about being the largest real estate brokerage in Madison County is we have a really deep bench and a lot of people that have really great assets to provide to the community. And I look at that as one of my top priorities is to connect those dots and link people up with the organizations that they can be the most beneficial to and that they can get the most back from as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially once you start that servant leadership journey, as somebody who's very early in their own leadership academy class, you just want more people to be a part of it. Yeah, leader told, right? You tell, or what is that? It's not, what the heck, Sean?
Oh, this is gonna be awkward because I'm gonna make you figure this out.
Really? You know what I'm trying to say, right? It's not volunteered, it's voluntold.
Voluntold, yeah.
That's what you're telling your people to jump on stuff. That's what I was trying to think of. But yeah, it's connecting the dots, saying, hey, I think you'd be great here. I may not be the right fit for this. It's just not something that fits my family schedule, but.
And in a community as small as ours, Madison County is 130,000 people. Like there's a lot of people here, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at our neighbors to the south or to the west, we're pretty small, and most people know who each other are, and it feels good for me. I'm sure you're starting to feel that too. I went into that, to the Leadership Academy, cocktail party, whatever they call it, for our meet and greet, and that was my fourth or fifth time going to one of those, and I feel like every year I know more and more people, and that feels good. That feels like progress, and the commitment gets easier because you can see it. There's an intrinsic value to it when you walk in and know more people and more people know you, and that's just because I'm there, I'm involved, and that's gonna be the same thing for you. And we're very blessed to have a great program in Madison County with Leadership Academy, and that's a great place to start. So I know you're not just starting, obviously, but that's something for you to help you build upon. And if it's not that, if you don't have a Leadership Academy or something like that, there's other network opportunities. Most communities have a chamber, they have some other kind of networking group, but whatever it is, once you identify the best one for you, just have to stick with it.
Yeah, worst case scenario, make one. Make a podcast to where you have to talk to people.
Exactly.
Or they have to talk back.
Yeah,
lock them in a room.
We were going to talk at some point eventually. We met not because of the podcast, but I'm going to force you to go to lunch with me today after this, and so we would
he just wants free lunch.
I absolutely want free lunch. Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's what it's all about, kids.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Who you know, not what you know. As
long
as we get fed. That's the old gray hair mentality.
So let's put the commercial into it. So since you're going into it right now, let's talk about that a little bit more because so much can come from LAMC. So what was your initial expectation? What was your initial reaction to your expectations for LAMC now that you've gotten started with it?
Okay, great. Never been asked a question on my own show. So to be honest, I was looking for something like this. For a while, and then they didn't have one last year, obviously, because of COVID. So when I reached out, before they even said that they were doing the class of 2022, just saying, hey, when are you guys doing the next class? I'd love to be a part of it. I just needed an outlet. I knew there was something that I needed. I got involved with Clayton. Clayton's an awesome guy at the Madison County Chamber of Commerce.
He's barely okay.
Yes, I agree. I'm getting more and more involved in Madison County rather than just South Madison County, where our business is and where I'm from originally. And I'm starting to realize how cool people are, and I'm starting to realize there's a lot of opportunity. And I changed my mindset from Clayton said, a rising tide lifts all boats. And since he said that to me, I've changed my entire mindset to how do I build Madison County? And in my head, it's attract and keep good people. So how do I keep people my age here? How do I show them this is the land of opportunity? How do I show them that this can be the next something? And so I found, Leadership Academy, and I was like, this is how I can find roots. Took the class, went to the opening retreat, knew a couple people there. You leave that first weekend, man, you are in it. These are your friends for life. They don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. Yeah. So I told my wife it was adult camp. It is. I mean, it is adult camp.
It really is. That's a good way to put it.
Right? And so you're doing the color and all the fun stuff the first day, and you walk away that first weekend, and you get so stuck in being an adult sometimes that you forget what it's like to be a kid.
Sure.
So I think that's part of that relationship you build with them is, it's so foundational.
Yep.
And then, now that we've done more and more programs, I'm excited for what the next one's going to be. I sent a mass email the other day to everybody and sent them the podcast I did with the executive director, Jesse Reynolds. I bought Jesse's book, and when they mailed it to me, I thought he wrote it in college. When they mailed it to me, they mailed me a used copy, and it's signed by him to somebody else. So it's like, Dear Lao Chang, or like whatever this person's name is. I gotta pull you the picture. Thank you for the book. And I opened it, and I was gonna have Jesse sign it, but now I'm going, there's gonna be so much funny when I take him a book that he already signed that they sent to me for $24.
Yeah. So what does he do? Does he like do a slash through it? What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope the message is the same. And Sean. But it's just,
that is easier.
Yeah, it's just funny, and I'm getting involved now, and it's exciting to see that there is a bright future in Madison County. Yeah. I hate that you have to try to find them. I wish it was better publicized, because this is like the community we're trying to bring up. So that's part of the reason of podcast and talking to people that I think are influential and smart, and
sure, people
that are the movers and shakers.
I like that you quoted Clayton on that. That's something that he really, a rising tide lifts all boats. He really lives that, doesn't he? Like,
yeah, he moved to his community.
Yeah, and it is, he's our generation, and I think something.
Actually, they just told me the other day I'm in Generation Z.
Oh, congratulations!
And I go, man, these kids are 17 years old. I'm not like them at all.
But you get to be a leader for them now.
No, I'm a millennial. We're in the same generation, you and I.
It's really blended, isn't it? Like there's nothing about a millennial that is different from this Gen Z, other than the fact that some of us didn't grow up entirely with technology. Mm-hmm. Even it's evolved a lot, from your childhood. Yeah. And the hardest thing that I think I have to learn is I'm right there on the cusp of, like my 10-year-old, she just turned 10 this past week, and we were arguing because she wants a cell phone. And I started out when she was born, I said, oh, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 16, so neither is my kid. And she's like, I'll be the only person without a cell phone if you wait until I'm 16. Yeah. And it's evolved that rapidly. It's like, well, I don't know that I can, feel comfortable with her having it. And, our generation, a lot of us are saying that, but at the same time, there's a lot of tools available to us to protect them, even with that technology that, even I have to get out of my old foginess sometimes because of that. And, this generation that's, 17 right now, they get that better than we do. But we have the advantage, we can do this. We were taught, we grew up learning how to communicate face-to-face, make eye contact, be comfortable in a room having a conversation with somebody in person. Whereas that's going to be the biggest challenge for that 17-year-old, just being willing and able to make a phone call, let alone set up a coffee date to sit down in person. They're going to be much more likely and comfortable to set up a Zoom, or let's FaceTime, which I don't have the ability to do either. But there's a lot that, there's a lot of skill sets that our generation, or you on the cusp of our generation, offers that the generation below us doesn't, and the generation above us, doesn't either. So yeah, there's definitely Clayton and I have talked about this a lot. He's a very good friend, and whether he claims me or not, I'm going to tell him. And when it comes to business in Madison County, we are an older community because You know, when we got abandoned, by those in the automotive industry a long time ago, I said I won't say their name anymore because that's all I do is hear it when I go to meetings with all those people. And it's
they're still blaming them.
They are. Well, but you know what? Half of them are blaming it, and I'm kind of an antagonist sometimes. Like I sometimes will do things just out of spite.
I believe that about you.
You can ask my wife. She'll agree with that, especially after having her family with us on Thanksgiving this weekend. She experiences that sometimes. But what I will say is, it's time to move on from that. And I even went as far as to buy a foreign car, just to challenge someone, from the Madison County community that says, why wouldn't you support a American made or, something local? Well, guess what? They abandoned us. And, there's more parts of my foreign car that were built in the United States than, most of your American made vehicles. And, all that's evolving, and our understanding of that is evolving. And there's more and more of that previous generation that is ready to see that. And it's hard for us, it can be frustrating because we'll say, they won't get out of the way, they won't allow us. But think about if you're carrying a heavy bookshelf or a heavy piece of furniture and somebody says, hey, let me take that off your plate. You're not gonna let go of that until you are very sure that they're holding on to it because you don't want it to land on your foot. And that's kind of where we're at right now with our community. We've got an aging community who, may not have let go as early as other communities have, but that's because they're waiting for us to step up too. So it's getting to that point, and once they see that we've got it, they're gonna let go. But we've got to be committed to sticking to it and to show them that we can handle it before we can expect them to hand it off entirely.
That's a beautiful way to put it. That's a way that I've never really heard it. Yeah, I've never really heard it explained that way. But truly, the passing of the torch, as much as you want to call it, is you want to make sure that next generations, proved it to you that they're ready for that step.
We need our Kennedy. Once we get a young president, that's part of our generation. Then that's when they'll finally realize it's our time.
It's just gonna take time.
Yeah,
we're almost there. 35, right? You're gonna be 35, so it's not gonna be me. I guess I got 9 more years.
I mean,
no.
Like I said, it's getting younger and younger, so it could be you in 3.
Oh no. I like business. I like Madison County. I don't need to change the scenery. I'm okay here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Think about that. That's your investment too. Even if you are not buying commercial buildings or you're not doing anything else other than just living here, where you choose to put down your roots and raise your family is an investment as well. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's here is investing in our community in one fashion or another, and it's up to us to those are community leaders involved in this side of the community to do right by that and help them get a good solid return on that investment.
Yeah, it allows us to kind of build the community we want at this point too. Not starting from scratch, just rebuilding it.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's there's some things that need to be wiped clean and have a clean slate, but I mean there's plenty of assets here, as we know. That's one of the things that I talk about why I'm so passionate about downtown Anderson. You look at some of the communities in Hamilton County and how much they invest in their infrastructure to make it look like what we already have here. You've got downtowns like Pendleton and Anderson that are something to be envied in other communities, even if the buildings are have a little bit more deferred maintenance to them. Those are opportunities that I see, and that's where I think people are starting to figure that out. And the goal is to get our local people to figure it out first and be willing and able to make that investment before all the hedge funds and out-of-state firms come in and buy it up.
Yeah. Keep money local, keep people local. Well, so Steve, I think you've done a great job. Not only championing Madison County, but also building a beautiful business and attracting and keeping some people. If you added 12 more to staff this year, if people want to get a hold of you, whether they're brokers, they want to get into the commercial business, or they're interested in more and more commercial assets in Madison County, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best method of communication? I know you said phone earlier, but
yeah, that was kind of a joke. Just text me. Don't call because they'll tell you I probably won't answer. But I like to be totally invested in my time. My cell phone's there, but I'm here with you.
Thank you.
I'm not looking at that. So text is good. So I make sure I catch it. But honestly, we've got 4 locations. We're in Anderson, downtown Anderson. We're in Alexandria. We're in downtown Middletown, across the county line. And we're also in downtown Pendleton. So you know, if you want to, you know, make a connection with us or my people, just stop by. You know, it's an open door policy at all times, and you know, we love walk-ins. So
Absolutely.
I am right downtown at 11th and Jackson.
Gorgeous building.
Thank you.
Spent a lot of time on that one, haven't you?
Yeah, it's basically, that's been the other thing that I've spent all my time on this year. I said, you know, the biggest reason we made sure we got a comfortable couch in there so we have a place to sleep there late at night.
When you get kicked out of your house for staying there too late.
That's only happened a couple times, and more have been warranted and deserving.
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely a labor of love that's starting to pay off. You know, there's definitely people willing to be a part of something if you're willing to build it, and that's what we're experiencing there. It's a really cool building. I love the history. I'm a big history guy, and we've been able to, you know, put some modern spins on it while also, you know, honoring what it was originally designed for. And it's just a cool building. You know, everybody, if you say it's, you know, 11th and Jackson, they're like, "Where's that?" And you give them the address, they're like, "Where's that?" Well, it's the big 2-story glass lobby with all the windows and the double staircase.
Double staircase,
Yeah.
love it.
I'm trying to get, here's my other like big pitch to people that are listening, like bring your kids to do their prom pictures there, because that's part of was one of my goals when we redid that lobby, was to make it nice enough people would use it for their backgrounds, for their photos. So
Oh yeah, good senior picture spot too.
huge. Yeah, we've got plenty of options there, free of charge.
Ooh,
Community service. Right
there you go.
So stop in there.
They got a mini fridge too.
We have a mini fridge in the front and a full stocked kitchen in the back. So
Ooh,
big
just
fridge in the back.
mention that to them. Steve personally will make you a grilled cheese in the bag.
That's great. I actually just learned how to do that a lot better way, so I'm all for that.
Ooh,
Grilled cheese. And
yeah, we'll have to talk about that off air. Don't want to give away your secrets.
No, absolutely not. No, that's for the paid subscribers.
We have a paid version.
Yeah, the Patreon,
Check out my OnlyFans.
Patreon members will learn about the grilled cheese after this.
I mean, my only pans. Get it? Because you. All right, Steve. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, you must be a dad.
Yeah, everybody check out FC Tucker. If you need anything, call him. Bye.
Tucker, Tucker-Thompson.com, or just Google FC Tucker. We
Pop up.
We have, you know,
You got good
pretty
SEO?
You would hope so.
Somebody else is paying for that. Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
How was that?
It was okay. That was really good. Did you have fun?
I did. That's not bad at all. That's
Thanks.
It's hard to know how long something's taken, so
44 minutes.
good. That's about perfect.